Oh boy, the stresses we have. You know, I'm looking at the anarchy machine of the left. They've got riots all over the country. You know what really gets me? They're not spontaneous. They're left-wing Democrat funded. They've already got the bank accounts with $30 to $40 million. The activists got to do something. The news will go out and say, oh, Trump has a lot of problems. And, you know, all he's going to do, he's got a birthday. He wants to have the parade with the military. Why is he doing it? He's letting Russia and China and India and the Middle East know, I'm here and I'm strong. And instead of having a unified, strong nation, he's got these putzes out there trying to make it look like, because they don't like King Trump. Well, if that stress can get me, I'm sure it can get you. And how do I balance that out? What really fatigues you is as you get older, the fundamental building block of your body, your system is the cells, stem cells, multiplying, reinvigorating, repairing. And then, of course, they start to atrophy and shrink, and you got less and less and less cells being created by your body. And then you become old and shriveled, your hair turns gray, and your brain gets into sluggishness. But you know, your human body is supposed to actually run strong up to 120 years, according to the Bible. Moses, Abraham, that's your model. 120 years, the eye was not dim, neither was their natural force abated. Well, I'm finding out those stem cells are a big key. So Annabelle and I had our time together this week where we both, strange kind of a date night, but we had both got our level 10 matrix. We both got our stem cells. And boy, the reinvigoration that came to my mind, it's like the clouds started to lift off my head, and I said, I feel like a young man again. I want you to go to level10matrix.com. Call 1-800-361-2270 and find the secret sauce that Annabelle and I discovered for the fountain of regenerated youth. You'll be glad you did. Now, let's take on the stress of today's news. Welcome. We've been talking about how the State of the Union is that we have a funded anarchy machine. It is a funded national campaign from the Democrat Marxist Party, which wants to raise up protests all over the country on the day that Trump's having a birthday, in order to create this impression that the nation is against the authoritarian use of Trump's power, no king. When what is the king doing? He's deporting or trying to deport 10 million illegals, and he's way off schedule. In fact, he only got 100,000 out in the last 5 months, and he's being fought tooth and nail by the political establishment and the anarchy machine, which is funded with $50 million of taxpayer money from California to suit up the anarchists on the streets to go fight with the police. And there's no universal exposure and shout down going on this, because the legacy media is in the hip pocket of the ideology that wants America to be broken up into 1,000 fragmented pieces of ideology, which is their progressive agenda. May God deliver us from these people that exercise. Will they outlast Trump? Right now, you're not going to see these Ivy League universities go away. They've got deep pockets. They're well funded. These journalists, the media is not going to go away. New York Times is going to go away. I wonder if they'll outlast us. We will have to occupy politically. If we do not occupy politically, we will not be able to have the Justice Department or the capacity to control at least the bully pulpit of Trump controlling at least some media cycle for the social media world that is the counter to legacy media. When they come against this thing and say that Trump is acting like a king, they forget that Abraham Lincoln, who was no tyrannical dictator, was presented as a tyrannical dictator by the South in order to foment a civil war. The left would love nothing more than open warfare on the streets. They would rather have a civil war. They remind me of the woman in the story of Solomon. Two prostitutes come in, and they've got a baby, and they both claim the baby is theirs. And one says, no, this woman rolled over at night and suffocated her child. We both had babies, but she killed hers in the morning. She took mine out of my bed and claimed it's hers, but that's my baby, O king. And the king says, wait a second, you're both saying you're the mothers? All right. Tell you what, tells the guy next to him, cut the baby in half, give one half to this one half to the other one. And one woman said, fine. And the other one said, no, 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 no. Whatever you do, let her have the baby. I'd rather she had it than the baby was hurt. Solomon said, that's the mother. That's the real mother. See, when you don't care, you'll tear your country up like this. Trump's trying to save America. Almost took a bullet to the head. Saved from another assassination attempt. 900 years of potential jail time. Over $100 million in court cases. 134 million in unjust criminal expenses for a trial to bankrupt him. And still we got this fight against Trump because he's doing what Lincoln had to do, which is he had to suspend the writ of habeas corpus. He had to actually shut down certain newspapers. He had to do what he had to do. He said, I will take, what did he say? I'll take the Constitution. And if necessary, he said, basically his metaphor was that the ship is sinking. He'll take the Constitution and jam it into the hole in the ship if necessary to keep the ship floating. The goal is to save the country.
May I challenge that perspective quickly?
Well, you can. I'll give you 30 seconds and I'm moving on. Go ahead.
All right. I don't think it's that people don't care. I think that people care a lot, which is why so many people are rallying around this idea. I think that they are low information. I think they don't know what's actually going on. I think they've been spoon-fed a line of, I'll keep it PG, nonsense. And so that's what they've been taking in. That's what they believe. That's been providing a foundation for their convictions, their beliefs, and their opinions. I don't think this is because they don't care. I think it's because people care a lot, but they don't know what's actually going on.
All right, so people care, but they don't know. So what happens is the agitators, the organizers, the intellectual pedophiles go into the school system, and so, for instance, I call them intellectual pedophiles. That's what they are. They go in and they molest the innocence of the young mind and plant the pornography of their ideology. So you go to the university, for instance. And I read an article yesterday. Another journalist, I think I need to start interviewing these journalists. This guy says, you're never going to change the Ivy League schools because they're too well endowed, they're too well funded. Besides that, you have to look at this upstream. If I could go over to the board over there, I don't have my microphone on, but here's what I do. I draw you a picture. I need a big pen. All right, watch this. Live camera TV stuff. So what you got is you've got a descending hierarchy here. You're coming downstream here. Downstream, you have the student. The student, unfortunately, is getting
propagandized.
Propaganda. The student's getting propaganda. They're not getting an education because the teachers aren't diversified. The teachers are the problem. The teachers are giving the student propaganda, not getting a balanced worldview. The teachers, but then you have another problem, which is the administration of the school and the trustees of the school. They determine the policies of the school that in turn provide the professors that are all Marxist progressive, that in turn turn your little boy, Susie and Johnny, into a radical who's, got 5 body piercings and comes home with the same gender, boyfriend, girlfriend. So what happens is, You're never going to get to fix the Ivy Leagues because they're so infested at the administrative and the funding level that the only way you can really, what you need to focus on, so I'm going to just forget about Harvard, Princeton, Yale. I mean, they need to be taken to court for discrimination in their inviting students in. They should be fought vigorously on discrimination. But the state-funded schools, now, here's where I got my eye opener. There's a mountain right there. The state-funded schools are different because state-funded schools have responsibility to legislators and the political processes. So the private schools that are Ivy League funded, not going to change them over the long term. But we can make the state-funded schools great. And the way that you do that is you start targeting the state. Now, they are liberal bastions as well, but you can squeeze them because they're not controlled by the donor class. They're controlled by the people and the legislators. So we got to get smart as to how we fight this battle. And I agree with you, Carl. I think that when I read this article here, that 5,000 students in universities are going to be programmed by the funded efforts of the state of California to train them to become immigration activists. Well, those students are only going to hear a certain line of logic, and they're going to hear that, and they're going to believe that, and they're not going to have diversity of viewpoint, because the one thing the left never wants is genuine diversity. They cry about it because they want to impose their diversity on you who aren't flexible enough. But they don't really want to entertain your conservative worldview on your campus, which is why you can't have a conservative speak as a valedictorian. Heck, I could even speak at IHOP, and as a Christian organization, long before Mike Bickle got himself in trouble. I asked him, I said, how come you guys don't have me ever out there? You got Michael Brown, you got these other guys out there. He said, you're too controversial, Lance. I was too controversial. You know why? So many socialist Christians were going to IHOP, and in Redding, California, the same way. So many Bernie Sanders socialists in the Christian church, so many Marxist Christians that didn't think the thing through and that they didn't want a diverse viewpoint because it would create strife. So I was never invited to some of these schools to speak. And I understand why, because my Trumpian zeal might be provocative, but it wasn't Trumpian zeal. It's the ideas that are conservative in nature. I think Charlie Kirk and other guys benefit from some of us other older guys that had to pioneer getting the church softened up so that it could prepare itself for the fact that it's in an ideologic warfare. And in that ideologic warfare, you're going to have to, it's the battle of big ideas is upon us, people. So Newsom has rallied California's liberal base with his open defiance, even sending a fundraising email Sunday morning about the National Guard deployment. The posturing nevertheless puts both the governor and his state at increasing risk of reprisal. Doesn't matter. It's fundraising. See what I mean? You guys got to wake up. You think you're dealing with the news. You're not dealing with the news. You're dealing with the manipulation of current public events by forces that are politically trying to capture news cycles for their agenda. California's going to sue Trump, Hegseth over National Guard deployment amid anti-rice riots. My guess is California's not going to get away with much. Typically, the federal government wins on these things. Oh, by the way, the Rodney King riots, I just watched footage today of George Bush deploying 2,000 National Guards to quell the Rodney King riots, and that during George Bush Sr.'s administration. So don't tell me that presidents don't have precedents for quelling or stopping riots, especially when you discover that they're being funded by the Democrat Party. No wonder the Democrats are all condemning intervention from Washington. They're funding it. Boy, I'm worked up today.
Yeah, you are.
Trump deploys hundreds of Marines in L.A. in growing military response to immigration raid protests. In one great quote, somebody said, and they goad him into it. Because, Mr. President, what are you going to say if they're going to continue to spit on National Guardsmen? Are you going to restrain them from being able to strike back? Trump said, no. If they spit, you spit, you hit. Something like that.
They spit, you hit?
They spit, you hit. Anyway. Oh, boy. I can't believe I'm running out of time in this new format. There's short little bursts of information. But our next show is going to be covering what China has done. We've got three people that have broken into the United States with bioweapons that have been caught, and they're all coming from Wuhan into Michigan University. What the heck is up with that? And I want to give you the update on China, on nuclear Iran. That's it. What the timeline is for attacking or taking off the head of the snake, which is the nuclear ambition of Iran. That's our next show. You don't want to miss it. God bless you. Like, share, and subscribe. That's how you can help us stay an oxygenation and keep our program going strong. God bless you. What if you could live younger and stronger for longer? Is it possible to reactivate your body's internal repair system the way God designed it? Are you or someone you love struggling with body degeneration and in search of some kind of an effective solution? At Level 10 Matrix, we believe that the power that created you can heal you, and that healing and regeneration are already encoded right inside your DNA. And whether it's due to injury or illness or aches or chronic pain or lack of energy, mental or physical decline, or the brain fog that seems to come with the aging process itself. If you want to revitalize your life now, then call 1-800-361-2270 or go to level10matrix.com now to claim your complimentary ebook and to schedule your complimentary no obligation, no pressure consultation. Remember, looking and feeling younger never gets old. So if you want to revitalize your life now, then call 1-800-361-2270 today.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.